As Beth said, I'm Martha Pongi. I'm the Director of National Apprenticeships for the National Institutes for Innovation and Technology. Just a little bit about who we are and what we do. The National Institutes for Innovation and Technology is a 501c3, and it was established during the Obama administration to monitor risks to innovation in strategic industry sectors like manufacturing, but those that are important to national security and global competitive. We try to make sure that those roadblocks are eliminated, and we can help advanced manufacturers to grow their businesses and to have a thriving talent pipeline in order to support that business. In 2021, we were actually chosen by the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship to lead the nation's development of registered apprenticeships within semiconductors, nanotechnology, and advanced manufacturing supply chains. It's a 5-year contract, and it enables us at the NIIT to leverage our unique assets, one of which you're going to hear about today, which is the Talent Hub, and a staff with industry relevant subject matter expertise, as well as experience in establishing very innovative registered apprenticeships designed for high-tech manufacturing. If I go to the next one. So this is kind of just a real quick snapshot of what the Gaines profile looks like. If you're working with a Gaines team, and again, Gaines is growing apprenticeships in nanotechnology and semiconductors, you're really working with sort of a three-legged stool. Think of us as having the infrastructure to support building a talent pipeline through our National Talent Hub. We support programs with our second leg. Those programs are earn and learn models like registered apprenticeship. They also are K through 12 programming that helps to support industry recognition for advanced manufacturing starting at a young age. And we work with pre-apprenticeship programs to help build that pipeline into gateway positions, perhaps for individuals who never thought that they would want to do a job in the advanced manufacturing sector, or perhaps are job changers and want to explore something new. So we can kind of help you at a lot of different levels. And I think our magic sauce is our ability to scale. That third leg is our ability to scale. And the only way that we can do that is by working with regional partners like Manufacturing Works in Cleveland. We rely on them to help us to develop hubs. So cohorts of companies who will come together and work together to support a manufacturing ecosystem in their community. And last of all, we're going to bring you the National Talent Hub. And this is really Robert's baby, and I'm going to let him do a lot of the explanations. But the reason that you get to be here is because the National Science Foundation Advanced Technological and Education Programs, so the NSF-ATE, in partnership with the Department of Labor and Training, helped us to be able to develop a state-of-the-art portal. And this portal leverages advanced data analytics to align really detailed job descriptions and competency requirements with individual skill profiles and course curriculum. And so we are really a convener of employers, individuals looking for jobs, and training providers, but we do it in a way that's really never been done before. The Department of Labor is looking at the National Talent Hub to be a national infrastructure to build and connect the talent pipeline for strategic tech-based advanced manufacturing. And with that, I am going to pass to Robert Wyman, who really is, in charge of the hub for us at NIIT, but really the brains behind how all this gets done. So with that, I'm passing to Robert.
Thanks, Martha. And I'll share screen here. So, and I'm going to share sound too. Okay. Yeah, so I'm Robert Wyman. I'm Director of Workforce Innovation at the National Institute for Innovation and Technology. I've been in workforce development for, well, we'll say 20 years. That's good. we won't go any more than that. But and I've worked with I've worked in various capacities with different stakeholders. So I've worked within community college doing workforce training and development, both on the credit and non-credit side. Also worked in the GED and ESL sphere of community colleges. I've worked in industry, both in semiconductor and software development side, so in the high tech sectors. And I've also worked with workforce development organizations and government associations as well, such as the DOL and ETA. And that's been really more in grant collaboration, not working directly within those agencies. But just very passionate about, my background is in engineering, but I became instantly very passionate about workforce development within that industry sector of advanced manufacturing, and just have always been in that area. Martha had mentioned that the National Talent Hub, which I'll be presenting, is my baby. Interesting analogy. Thank you, Martha. My son's 24, so maybe I was trying to fill a void. I don't know. But I am very passionate about that. And I think that's one thing that the National Institute has, is that every member of our team is very passionate about workforce development, and also has very intentional DEI lens on that as well. So really our systems are designed to create full transparency of skills. So skills-based hiring, skills-based training, so that any individual, regardless of their experience or industry sector that they've been involved in, there's some transparency in as they build those skills, so that high proposition type job opportunities can actually be an opportunity for them as well. So there's full transparency where the employer can see an individual skill profile, an individual can see how they match up to a job profile. And also importantly, I know we have a lot of those members today, and I'm absolutely passionate about community colleges, so that community colleges can also see full transparency on how their programs, whether it be a micro-credential or a one-year certificate or two-year degree, how those the profiles of those courses and programs line up to a target occupation or aggregate, a grouping of target occupations in their region, but also on a national level. So that gives you a little bit about our passion and our philosophy behind this. So what I have up on the screen here right now, assuming you can see, is the website for the National Institute. And so it's NIIT-USA.org. Everything that we present today, you can go into a little bit more depth by looking at our website. And of course, Martha's going to share our contact information at the end, so you can reach out to us directly or through Beth. I am going to go to a video that actually works really well for the National Talent Hub, but I want to just show the other programs that we have. Martha had mentioned our Talent Pipeline Development Initiative. So we have the National Talent Hub, which you can see in the drop down here. We have Gains, which is the apprenticeship program that Martha spoke about and that she's in charge with. That's her baby. And this, we also have Vet Connect and Veterans Fellowship programs. And we even go down to the K-12 level. So we have a program called Real Robotics for Kids, which actually goes down to the 4th grade level. What's unique about that is that actually is built right into the curriculum of classes. So it's not an extracurricular activity, but is aligned with a lot of the competencies and actually a lot of the equipment that's used in the FIRST robotics program. So our CEO actually developed that program in partnership with Dean Kamen, who started FIRST Robotics. I'm going to go to National Talent Hub so we can take a look at that. And we've got a video, and I think they did this to help me concisely kind of explain the National Talent Hub in exactly 6 minutes, because I get very passionate about it. So I'm going to go ahead and share this video, which you can also watch at any time or send this link to other folks. It's directly on our website. But this kind of concisely gives you a quick overview, and then we'll go into a little bit more detailed on looking at the Talent Hub from the three stakeholders of employer, training provider, and talent.
The National Institute for Innovation and Technology was launched in 2018 with the mission to identify roadblocks to innovation in strategic industry sectors and ensure they are eliminated. Developing a national workforce strategy is a priority for the NIIT, and the National Talent Hub provides the infrastructure underpinning the NIIT's National Talent Pipeline Development Initiative. A qualified and diversified technical workforce is key to U.S. leadership in our STEM-driven strategic industry sectors. Unfortunately, a significant deficit of qualified talent exists, and the gap continues to grow. The National Talent Hub is a cloud-based solution in infrastructure designed to connect talent, employers, and training providers in strategic tech-based industries. Developed in part with funding from the National Science Foundation Advanced Technological Education Program and a partnership with the State University of New York Polytechnic Institute and the U.S. Department of Labor Employment and Training Administration, the National Talent Hub is an integrated system leveraging a dynamic competency-driven approach which aligns jobs, training, and talent profiles for the purpose of building a wider workforce pipeline, reaching a broader spectrum of experienced education and personnel diversity. With a consumer-focused gateway, the Talent Hub provides a symmetric experience to bring together the three stakeholders of talent, employers, and training providers. Each stakeholder group is provided a customizable experience, including a user-focused dashboard with movable tiles for metrics and applications within the Talent Hub. At the center is the talent. The interface is exclusively designed to be a fully integrated system to attract, assess, hire, train, and advance individual students, job seekers, veterans, and employees. Individuals create a lifelong learning profile which tracks all their education, training, and work experience and incrementally increases the depth of their individual competency profile. Underpinning the entire system is a comprehensive competency standards database representing the knowledge, skills, and abilities employers require for individuals to perform in technician and engineer-based positions. What is unique to the National Talent Hub is the ability to determine the degree of alignment between competency profiles. Because job training and individual profiles are all created using the same competency standards database, employers can use the Talent Hub to compare job to job, job to training program, and job to individual. Training providers can use the Talent Hub to compare training program to training program to job, and training program to individual. And individuals can use the Talent Hub to compare their personal profile to target job profiles, and where there may be a gap, use the Talent Hub to find training programs to close that gap. As in the case here, the individual determines that they have a 23% match to a target job. The buttons to the right give them more detail, but let's take a look at what happens if they select the button labeled View Training Options. With one click, the individual determines that completion of an electrical engineering degree at a regional community college will advance their skills profile to an 80% match for the target job. Another value proposition is the shorter one-year semiconductor maintenance certificate, which advances their skills profile to a 68% match. Here's what drives those insights. In our symmetric design, all profiles are aligned to the same competency standards database. Employers, training providers, and individuals choose competencies and mark a level of proficiency. They may also indicate other related data such as impact, frequency, teaching method, or related work experience. As in this case, a training provider can compare line by line how their competency profile aligns to a target job profile. In some areas, they will find their program exceeds the job requirements, while in other areas, their program may be below job requirements. This insight can drive decisions on additional course development and alignment, adding efficiencies for both pre- and post-employment training programs. Before now, competency frameworks had no mechanism to track how they were being used or to validate their relevance. Traditional competency design and validation requires a costly in-person process of assembling subject matter experts and completing detailed job analysis. This resource-intensive process results in static competency frameworks with a revalidation cycle of 4 years or more. The National Talent Hub provides the first truly dynamic, data-driven competency framework. Every job posting, course description, and individual skills profile provides real-time tracking of each and every competency item. At any time, data analysts can click View Usage to determine how and where each competency item is being used. The result is that a wider base of employers, training providers, and talent is represented, and the competency model responds dynamically to the demand of the market. High-demand competencies rise to the top. Dormant competencies are gradually phased out, and emerging competencies are tested for demand and relevance. The National Talent Hub was designed as part of a nationwide strategy to be a single, nationally integrated, state-of-the-art system that is available to states and regions to support talent pipeline development and economic development strategies. It provides the first and only automated system to enable real-time curriculum alignment with tech-based jobs. It supports the US DOL's guideline standards for the advanced manufacturing and semiconductor competency models. And it enables effective engagement of a broader segment of the population through no-cost access to lifelong learning profiles, skills assessments, and career and education mapping tools for individuals. Under an exclusive contract with the US DOL to expand registered apprenticeships throughout the US nanotechnology and semiconductor supply chains, an innovative NIIT-led partnership called GAINS, or Growing Apprenticeships in Nanotechnology and Semiconductors, is utilizing the Talent Hub to drive the expansion of innovative, employer-driven, competency-based apprenticeships designed specifically for related industries. The NIIT continues to collaborate with a broadening network of partners to build additional structure to our competency standards database and provide the most comprehensive and effective competency-driven talent hub for strategic industry sectors. For more information or to request an in-person demonstration, visit our websites at national.
Okay, you're here. You're already talking to us. So, so thank you for your patience and watching that video. It just kind of keeps us concise. What I would like to do is just give you kind of a 5, 5, and 5. So it's a symmetric design that we have in the Talent Hub. And I just want to show you 5 minutes of what a job seeker experiences, what a training provider experiences, and what an employer experiences, so that you can kind of see how everything meshes together. So Martha's going to keep me to that. It's going to be 5 minutes on each of those. So it is very much consumer facing, the National Talent Hub. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign in, but there's actually quite a bit of content just on this front page where you can see more videos and learn about the Talent Hub and what we're achieving. But to sign in, you would create a member account initially, and that would actually automatically make you not necessarily a job seeker, but talent, which means that just like LinkedIn, when you create that profile, you can be visible or not, and start to track a lifelong learning profile. One of the first things I want to just touch on, and they covered it pretty well in the video, but it's just a little bit about our standard. And I think some of you, this will resonate with you, especially in the community college sector. I think a lot of us are familiar with competency frameworks. There's well over 900 out there, has been our research. What we did is initially is we tied to the standard that's at the DOL Competency Model Clearinghouse. They have 26 models that are currently out there. The one that we really focused in on was advanced manufacturing, because we thought that that was the one that's really very important right now. Another one that's rising up and that we're actually starting to align to is, well, one is biotech and the other one is cybersecurity as well. So those competency models generally have a framework where there's 3 foundational tiers and then there's industry specific tiers. That was our initial framework. Since then, we've ingested multiple different frameworks, including the Future of Work for Technicians, which was also an NSF funded project, and the Maytech competencies for semiconductor and nanotechnology. We're also partnering with a number of NSF ATE centers, including the MNT Micro Nanotechnology Education Center, to help them with competency process, and also, more importantly, not just building a framework, a competency framework, but by ingesting it into the system here, which we have an automated process to do that, you can actually start tracking what are the use cases of those competencies. So I'll just show you for an example here. We're looking at industry-wide competencies. This is across all advanced manufacturing. For instance, this particular competency statement, and this is, we have 2 sections in our competency framework. One is critical work functions. The other is technical competency areas. So you can see down here, we get into technical competency areas where we just label it, and then I'll show you how we show degree of proficiency. But what's most important and unique here is that this is a dynamic model. So I can go here on the usage, or I can right click, and I can see that currently in our system, we have 76 job listings that are actually asking for that particular competency in their profile. I can click on this and drill down and get additional detail. I can see the employers that are asking for that. So I see some people in the industry sector, advanced manufacturing sector. Yes, I dropped in there. Hi, Beth. I dropped in a couple of sample job profiles so you can see manufacturing works here. And normally that would be under an employer name, but then also there's some employers here in advanced manufacturing. But in each case, I can see for this particular competency, I can see what proficiency they're asking for, and is it a high, medium, or low impact competency for them as well. So no other system out there is giving you that level of granularity and insight on competencies that are kind of rising in demand. And then you can see other ones here, critical work functions that really are not getting a lot of demand from the employers. These are competencies, if we continue to see single digits, where we're actually we'll never delete them, but we'll basically remove them from selection so that we can keep an archive of them. So that's really unique and dynamic. Is now, instead of having a competency framework that you put on a shelf and you revisit in 4 years, here you can see that we're dynamically looking at that signal, and that's helping us inform competency alignment year after year on a dynamic way. So what I'd like to do now is just go from a member perspective. So this is a potential job seeker, and I say potential because just like in LinkedIn, people can have a profile on there. They might not be looking for a job, but they're not going to turn down if someone reaches out to them and says, hey, I've got this really interesting job that seems to align with your profile. Kind of the same approach here. So a tool that we're just really launching into here is this visualization here. And what's unique about this tool for an individual, this is a dashboard for an individual member. And again, there's no cost for joining the National Talent Hub, either as a member, employer, or training provider. Again, there's no cost for that. Doesn't mean it's free. It's just that under the NSF, we're covered. So, but this here shows my skills profile, but then I can see what the system doing is helping visualize various job clusters that are very close in proximity to my skills profile. What's unique about this is typically when someone's looking for occupations or career pathing, they need to know the career path that they want to investigate, or they need to know some of like the nuances of that job, the name of the job, the industry sector that it's in. What this does is it allows them to visualize, almost puts on their radar, hey, these are job clusters that you might not know about, but are actually very close in proximity to your skill set. You might want to consider these. So that's a really unique tool. We see a lot of opportunity in that, and it's just, being developed, and every iteration. This is a rapid prototyping type platform that we use for development of the National Talent Hub. So every iteration, we're seeing that this particular tool is getting enhanced. Also, there's a couple other dashboard items for the job seeker. So they can see jobs that are available in varying degrees of scale from their geographic region. They can also see jobs that they were interested in and they saved here. And any of these elements they can expand. So I'm going to go ahead and expand this one, which is my top jobs, which means jobs that really closely match my job profile. It brings me to a more traditional job board view. And here I can see various jobs. I can see this at a national level, or I can narrow my search. So I can put in here nearby where I'm at is Malta, New York. I can choose proximity, so I'll do within a 100-mile radius. And I can see now that I'm just seeing jobs that are opportunities within my specific region. Wolfspeed is a large semiconductor manufacturer that is growing very rapidly, so I see a lot of jobs for them. And I want to show you one thing that's unique about the system. Any of these jobs I can click on, and Indium is a company we have an apprenticeship with, so that one's near and dear to Martha's heart. We're building an apprenticeship with Wolfspeed as we speak. And what's interesting, just a sideline, you develop one apprenticeship with one employer in a region, suddenly all the employers in that region, some of you have probably experienced that, are very interested in apprenticeship because it is a really strategic way to get people into your gateway positions. And it really shows a lot of investment in the community, and it's a really great signal to get a wider candidate pipeline. So I always chuckle when I see Indium, and now I know Wolfspeed is very interested in working with us on the apprenticeship. Anyway, with these jobs, I can click on this and I get the traditional job description. And I'll go ahead and when we get to the job seeker, I'll show you the ones that we did for your region that we just kind of picked in partnership with Beth. But I can see the typical job description. But what's unique is this right here, this percent match. And I want to show you how that plays out in our system is I can click on this job description. I see I'm a 67% match, which is actually a really good match. But I can do a gap assessment. So the system does this for me. And it shows me that here are competencies that I meet for the occupation. So it lists the competency. It says the required proficiency. We have 5 skill levels or proficiency levels. The job requires a 2. My proficiency is listed as a 3. Partially met just means that I have the competency, but I might be 1 or 2 degrees below what they require. And then unmet means that it's not on my radar at all. I've never indicated, or no work experience or education experience has indicated that I have this competency. So that's a gap that I want to address. What's really cool is in the same screen, I can go to training options and I can actually find specific courses or academic programs. So 1-year certificate and 2-year degree programs that will actually help me close that gap. So I can see the Industrial Systems Technology Associate's Degree program will move me from a 60% match to a 93% match for that particular occupation. I want to just notice this at the top here, though. I can do an apprenticeship with this particular employer here and actually be at a 97% match. What's unique is this 93% match would be achieved 2 years into a 2-year degree program. So I'd be participating as a full-time student for 2 years, not necessarily employed. This shows in a learn and earn model that I can start work instantly and increase my degree of match to 97%. So that's a really unique value proposition for the job seeker, especially when we're looking at a wider candidate pipeline. The important thing to note there is the apprenticeship actually enhances the relationship between academic provider, such as a community college, and the employer, and further informs how they can better align their certificates and programs and their labs and facilities to better support not just that employer, but other employers in the region as well. So we strongly believe that this is really interesting. It's the 2-year degree program is still signaling it's a very good fit, also showing that apprenticeship also is a really good fit. And both of these enhance that partnership with the employer. So that's a little bit on the job seeker side. Last thing on the job seeker or member side I want to show you is managing my profile. This is what's really unique. So I can throw in here it's a little bit about myself. I can throw in here my education experience. So I completed a 2-year degree at Mohawk Valley Community College. I can also add in my work experience. So those are things that we see on platforms universally. What is really unique about our system is this. There's my skills profile. Now I can edit this, or it can be automatically populated based on jobs that I put into my work experience or education experiences that I put in under my education. It will auto-populate this area. This is 700 line items, and I won't populate all 700 line items. Of those 700 line items, I currently have 135 that have been indicated either probably by that Mohawk Valley Community College work experience, but I'll show you what happens if I add a job experience too. So I have 135 line items. I'm going to add a job experience just so you can see how this impacts. And we'll just do Global Foundries, which is near to me. And I'll just do the maintenance technician apprenticeship. And I'm going to say Malta, New York. And I'm going to say I'm currently in that job. When I save it, it's going to let me know that it's going to update my profile. I hit OK. And I'm going to refresh this screen so you can see how it impacts my profile. Now I can see that I have 252 line items that have been scored. And what's interesting here is I have different colored bands. So anything blue means that I've manually updated. That has a pretty low level of validity, and actually an employer would be able to see this and actually bring it up during a job interview or while they're evaluating you. Education. So this mustard band here, it looks like Dijon mustard to me, but basically that indicates that it's validated by an education program that I've completed. It also shows my proficiency level and what education program that came from. And then any green band here indicates that it came from a work experience. So that's really unique, is that it's giving this level of detail to myself as an individual, but also to any employer that's considering me as an applicant for a particular job. They can see at a very granular level, what is my degree of match? So that was a little more 5 minutes on that, but let's go to, I want to go to the employer base. And I'm going to go over here to manufacturing. And what we did is instead of putting in a particular employer in your region, we created an account for manufacturing works and we added the job skill profiles here. Now, ultimately what we would do is we would create these profiles in an account associated with the employer. But I just want to show you how this works here. Is the way our system works is there's a 3-step process for creating a job profile. We'll work with you on that. So the job skill profile ties to our standard. Those can be automatically generated based on the job position, job title, and industry. So we can auto-populate that, but then we would push that back to you for your technical team to validate that the profile does represent the skills needed for that job. The job profile is the second part. And basically all that is your normal job description. So you would create the job description in here. And so that would have the normal nuanced signals that you have in your job descriptions. And the last step, and this is where you'd spend most of your time, is just in the job postings. And we can do this on your behalf. We're in the process of automating this where we could actually pull from a designated website or your platform. But this is where you just create a job posting. The nice thing is the job posting will automatically pull in the job profile associated with that job posting. And based on the profile, will automatically pull in the skills profile. What I want to show is these skills profiles real quick here. So this is the skills profile that we initiated based on the occupation level, the electrical technician at Omnova. And so we automatically generated a skills profile for that. That would also be pushed back to Omnova team for validation. And actually they can iteratively over time add more level of detail to this. But I want to point out that we don't just cover the technical competencies. Our employers, when we initially launched this project, said it was very important that we also include personal effectiveness, academic competencies, and general workplace competencies. So those are in the system. Personal effectiveness, some of you might refer to that as professional skills or soft skills. So you can see that those are a little bit more subjective, such as working within, seeing the value and working within a diverse environment. And it shows a skill level of 2. And there's our different skill levels, 1 through 5. That is subjective, but we still want to show that, that is something that's important to this employer. The employer could also mark this as a high impact competency for them, signaling that that's important to them. We also get into the technical competencies. So we've got technical drawings here. We've got interpretation of drawings and schematics. This is a journey worker level position here, this electrical technician. And I think what we concluded from the job description that we were given is that it's someone that's probably completed at least a 4-year apprenticeship. So it's a pretty high level. So you can see that the skill levels for interpretation of drawings and schematics is basically 1 degree below what would be a master level level of experience and expertise in that. Same thing with print reading. Electrical engineering is a little bit lower at a 3. But then you can see some other signals in here as well that have varying levels of expertise as well. So for us, just to speak to apprenticeship for a second, what we would normally do if we were going to work closely with Omnova is we would look at this skill profile, and then we would work with Omnova to say, okay, this is a pretty high level. Let's talk about the positions that are a ladder below this. So like related to this job position, but we want to really target what would be the gateway position for someone to grow into this job. And that's something that our team is very good at, is identifying those gateway positions, identifying the skills that are needed to perform in that gateway position and prioritizing those skills, but basically creating this opportunity so that you have a wider band spectrum of skill and talent that would go into that gateway position. They would have a 16 to 18 month apprenticeship that would skill them up into the next level position. And what that allows us to do is to skill them up as quickly as possible into the next level position so that you're always keeping your gateway positions open, because that's usually the lowest cost of acquisition to get that talent and build them up. So that's just a little bit of strategy that we work on with employers specifically. I wanted to show for the training providers, I'm trying to stick to my 5 minutes, but for the training providers, I want to show a little bit of what you would see. So let me go back to entities here, which I'm on, and I'm just going to go to Mohawk Valley Community College real quick here. So Mohawk Valley Community College, similar, that they were actually pulling in some job skill profiles. So these will not be job postings, but these are employers in their area where they wanted to pull in a job profile of it and start to look at how their programs might align to that. but these would not be job postings. If these were job postings, then Dollar Tree would have, or Tractor Supply would have an actual account here to manage those job postings. But let's go to what really the community colleges would be looking at is the profiles for their programs. So we can auto-generate an initial profile based on course name and level. We can automatically generate an initial profile for you, and then we would push that back to your faculty and people to your faculty to validate that that profile is a good representation of your course. But this is for a general chemistry course. I can go, it has the normal kind of things, how many contact hours, credit hours, what's the highest degree of teaching method. So we have varying levels, right? Is it just a reading course? Is it include a lecture? Does it have demonstration? Or the highest level of engagement would be a lab. Same thing on what is the highest level of assessment method? Is it just a written assessment? Is it practice? Is it performing to a standard? Or is there like an integrated project or capstone project that happens within this? In this case, it's the highest degree of assessment method is practice, and that's a lab environment. So that's really important to signal that so employers understand how you're validating your degrees of proficiency. If I go to the skill profile for this, you're going to see two things here. So on this particular organization, Mohawk Valley, they chose to actually score some of the individual soft skills as well. So you can see in here, they have student expectations. They know that this is a lab. So they actually signaled even at the course level in chemistry with a lab that they are reinforcing working within a diverse environment. And they're saying that they basically instruct that to a level 2. The highest level in an academic environment would be a level 3. Their teaching method is it's within a lab and they're practicing. But that's a little bit subjective. Other training providers will take student expectations and students' performance, sort of more general guidelines, and they'll score a profile just on the soft skills within that and not do it at the course level. So again, in chemistry here, we can see that they've also done the technical competencies. So they're showing here that physical dimension measurement instruments and techniques, they teach this to a level 2. It's performed within a lab, and there's actually an assessment. And this, I kind of question this. They could probably put here that the highest degree is that they're practicing. I won't change that for them for right now, but they're practicing using those tools. So the highest degree of assessment and engagement probably would be practice, not written. Mass measurement instruments as well. In this case, they haven't really gone into score this level of detail. They can do that iteratively over time. But they said with mass measurement instruments, they're teaching it to a skill level of 2. And they can add depth to that profile by saying, what is the teaching method and what is the assessment method? They can also, from an accreditation exercise, they can show how it ties to a particular learning outcome. So that's a little bit from the training providers as well. The last thing is, I think our video really showed this, but the degree of match, and this is our reporting. And I'll just show you real quickly what that looks like here is in our reports. You can do a gap analysis for a target occupation with a program. You can do gap analysis between an individual talent and a target occupation, or you can even do a gap analysis comparing 2 academic programs to each other as well. So for instance, here we're going to look at the maintenance technician level 2, which is a pretty high level at Global Foundries. I'm going to go look at the program profile from Mohawk Valley Community College. Which is down here, struggling with my alphabet. And I'm just going to pull in their, not just one program, but I'll pull in their EET program, but I'll also pull in their mechatronics, which is a 1-year certificate program, and go ahead and run that. And this can be exported out to Excel as well for further analysis. I'm going to go with, also bring in this detail, and I'm going to turn this part off. So now what I can see is, what I'm looking at here is the first 2 columns are the competency, and then the maintenance, the profile of the target occupation, which is the maintenance technician level 2. So here's the soft skills. I'll go down to the technical ones so you can see that. So again, here's print reading. We'll take a quick look at that. Technical drawings and schematics. So interpretation of drawings and schematics. The job requires a level 3 skill level. They indicate, the employer indicates that that's a high impact competency. So it's really important for the maintenance tech level 2. As an academic provider, I can see that my electrical engineering program teaches to a level 2. So that's 1 point below. That's great. That's a good match. Ironically, my one-year certificate has indicated that they actually spend quite a bit more time on that. And I know they do that because they actually have a very in-depth hands-on component in mechatronics, using the Amatrol system. And then they also have some, basically a whole Amatrol and Festo program there. So they're saying that they teach that to a level of 3, and the way they justify that is because there's a lot of hands-on activity. So they say that that teaches to a level 3. I can also see that there's some competencies where they indicate that they touch on this. The job profile is not asking for it. I also see as a training provider, I see that mechatronics says that they touch on electrical engineering concepts, but I see that the EET program has not indicated that they touch on that, which indicates to me probably that we need to go look at one of our course profiles and at least indicate that we touch on that, because I think what that is just a gap in how they profiled the particular job courses within that program. So that was, I'm going to bounce out for questions, but I think I gave you a pretty deep dive into the National Talent Hub. And definitely anyone that's interested, we can do a deeper dive and actually get profiles in the system for you. It's tough,
Thank
Martha, because it's my baby. It's tough not to just shut up.
It's a lot of information, but it's a lot of really great information, Robert. I am sure that there are a number of questions that are going to come up from our group. As we said, because we are instigating some new work with Manufacturing Works, Beth and I have worked together for the last 4 or 5 years on building the registered apprenticeship program in Cleveland. I'm just so proud of the work that's been done in your community. But this is a new way for us to look at how do we sort of assess talent that's coming to us from all of these different places that perhaps 4 and 5 years ago, we didn't look for talent. How do we have an infrastructure that allows us to really gauge where that person is and what is the level of upskilling that they're going to need to be competent for those jobs? We started this with gateway positions because we are laser focused on the DEI aspect of bringing people from these underrepresented populations into advanced manufacturing. But we also understand that this is a long game. We have got to start filling that talent pipeline and moving people in. The talent pipeline or the talent hub, every time a new college, a new individual, a new job seeker puts information in, it's updated. So we're getting real-time validation about what's going on. This was launched in July, Robert?
Yeah.
Officially. Yeah, it was officially launched in July. So you'll see that a lot of this is work that we're now building on. But it's been, 3 years in the making and has gotten a lot of kudos from the federal government on how this could be a game changer for really helping talent acquisition specialists to start looking at those other people that maybe didn't come with those traditional skill sets that we were able to get years ago. So I'm done talking. I want, other people to ask questions, but, please, it's a lot of words and it's a lot of acronyms and it's a lot of, so just ask away. No question is silly. Trust me.
I'll put like one, hopefully it's simple words, but like really one of the parts that we're really trying to handle here is, so we all have industry advisory panels. So I know I have stakeholders from all sides on this. So the employer is asked to participate in industry advisory panels, and sometimes they can participate and sometimes they can't. Specifically, smaller employers often don't get the opportunity to go in person to those panels. And the college is looking to those industry advisory panels to really guide small, maybe not major changes to their curriculum, but small but very high impact changes to their curriculum to better serve the employers and build a better connection with their employers in their region.
Yep.
What this does, it allows you to have that data available to you all the time. So anytime an employer posts a job, you can see how that impacts demand on competencies. So this helps the smaller employers be better represented, because as a community college, you can look at this data maybe a couple of weeks before the industry advisory panel and start to have that discussion. Hey, this is some signal that we're seeing in our region with some of the
Mhm.
employers that are in the talent hub. Let's talk about this. What are some small adjustments we can do to our curriculum? Or is there a micro credential that we can pack out based on the assembly of like maybe 3 or 4 courses that's going to really get talent into the pipeline, get more people jobs, and better serve our employers? So this is really designed to help get you to a deeper level of engagement with your employers, and employers to get a deeper engagement with the training providers in your region.
Great. Well, Rob and Martha, thank you so much. We do have a question in the chat.
Yep.
Vince says, great tool, exciting. How does the tool balance match weighting between foundational skills and industry skills?
Yeah, awesome question. Because I had mentioned that some of those foundational skills are somewhat subjective, so we're aware of that. So they get a slightly lower weighting, but we just want that employer to be able to signal that those are important, but they do get a slightly lower weighting because we know that those are subjective. The technical skills get a slightly higher weighting, and I think that's to a degree of 2. Also, if the employer, they don't have to score the impact for all the competencies, but anything. So what we've instructed them to do now is they can go through and do medium, high, low, but most importantly is at least score their high impact competencies, because those, a technical competency that's scored as high will actually get a degree of 2 addition to the in the algorithm as well. So yeah, great question.
Robert, I think also, I don't know if you mentioned that this is built on the advanced manufacturing competency model from the US DOL that you helped
Yeah.
to, yeah.
Yeah, so
can-
good point. So we actually, if you go to the Competency Model Clearinghouse, you'll see our name on there, because we now inform the Advanced Manufacturing Competency Model, which originally was lifted up with a collaboration with the Manufacturing Skills Standards Council and a bunch of other players. But with our dynamic data, we're able to inform back specifically the technical competencies within that model. We also lifted up and released the first semiconductor nanotechnology competency model that sits on top of that base. Again, those are static versions of our standard. Basically, when we release those to DOL, they've already changed, but that's okay. So our plan is to have an annual cadence with that until those competency model clearinghouse can actually be dynamic as well. But we're not just limited to advanced manufacturing. We've ingested many different competency frameworks so that we have a pretty global perspective on the skills that are needed out there.
Great. All right, next question that came in from Maureen. She wants to know, just to clarify, the first step is to post jobs, which will include the job description profile on the Talent Hub, or does the company first create a company profile?
Yeah,
Can you
first
explain
create.
that again?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely so that you noticed on there that we had some, and we did this for Beth too. So under manufacturing works, we did a couple job profiles there, but those would never be job postings. It was just to analyze the data. But yes, as a company, you would create a profile, very easy to do. And then you would start to create job postings. And we would work with you for sure on creating those job postings. So we would do that skills profile where we automatically generate it, and then we would look for your team to validate those skill profiles. And that can be done iteratively over time. So you would do an initial release, but iteratively over time, you might add depth to those profiles as well.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments? I will tell you that, first of all, Martha has become a mentor to me in this job. And anything that Martha tells me to pay attention to, I pay attention to, first of all. So I sent some emails out deliberately inviting certain individuals to this meeting today, because Manufacturing Works is involved in the Scaling Apprenticeship Grant. We're jumping into the Good Jobs Challenge initiative. The fact that this is a national opportunity that you know, anyone in the state of Ohio could participate.
Mhm.
But I also love the fact that it's beneficial to our members, which is of course first and foremost important, but our other stakeholders and community partners, those of you who work in the workforce development space with job seekers. I invited you all here today intentionally because I think this is such an amazing tool for the manufacturer as well as the job seeker. And then that bonus, I invited the community college, Lorraine Community College, to be on this call as well, because it's just so important that we are able to respond in real time, looking at where the gaps are. And so I'm thrilled at everybody's participation here and the fact that everybody came. We just got another question in, is this nationwide or is it currently only within the Ohio
No.
area?
It's national.
Nationwide is on your side.
Right.
You know, Beth, you made a really awesome point about our community-based organizations and our workforce development professionals, because sometimes as they're working with their clients, they don't have an in-depth knowledge of what manufacturers need from their employer, from their new employees. And this is a way for them to actually help build profiles for those job seekers that they're working with on a daily basis, and actually be able to, you know, with a level of confidence say, wow, Beth, you're so much closer to this job. If we just put you in this one class, maybe for 6 weeks, we could get you a job over here, which would provide you a career pathway, which is exactly what we want this to be able to do. We want it to be very transparent so that any user can look inside and say, oh, I get it. I see how I relate to the academic side. I see how I relate to the employer side. Now I can see more what I need to do to make myself a viable candidate for that job. Or maybe I already am a viable candidate. I didn't even know it. So, you know, lots and lots of options. And I did see something Maureen asked about, you know, existing employees and trying to fill that gap. It's one of the things that we just started talking about with some of our companies that are more mature in the system. As they said, we're working with our apprentices, we're bringing in new people, but a lot of our higher level techs have really never had the opportunity to attain that journey worker card as well, or to get the education that maybe goes along with it. And so can we use the system to identify what their current gaps are and to put them in programming that allows them to have the same opportunities? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing that Robert didn't get the opportunity to show, and something that we will show to people that wanted to do this on an individual basis, is we don't just build for one job that you have. What we want to do is we want to look at your organization and see what are the entry level jobs, what are now the mid-skill jobs, what are those higher level jobs, and how do we build that pathway as a visual for all of your employees so they can see what commitment you're making to them as an organization and how you're going to show them the pathway to growth and success within your organization.
Yeah, and Joan is a longtime colleague and works with job seekers. And the comment here about this being a great tool, it absolutely is. Joan, this is why I personally emailed you to come. And, you know, Manufacturing Works, we piloted a pre-apprenticeship program at the beginning of this year. And, you know, we definitely see the value in helping the job seeker to really create this profile with their knowledge, skills, and abilities. And to Martha's point, you can say with confidence, you're not that far away. Or even if they are far away, it tells you what the steps are to get you from point A to point B and move you up along that career pathway. And so, you know, all the way around, I think this is fantastic information. Any other questions, comments, feedback?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say thanks for Joan for mentioning that. So One of the things that's so critical right now is these, and a great opportunity is these technical related, STEM related careers, right? So we have really, that's been our laser focused and we've been optimized for that. So like from a workforce perspective, this is really a tool designed for someone that maybe is, chronically underemployed either through staffing agencies or what have you, either in retail or food service, or maybe at a logistics center, like a distribution hub. This allows them to really have full transparency of the skills that they've developed over time. But it does it in a slightly different method than LinkedIn tends to be adopted more for like the engineer levels and the, professional skills. This is really for someone that has technical skills and experience or wants to break into those STEM related careers and ladder up. So to your point, Jonah, absolutely anyone that you think is a good candidate for entering into advanced manufacturing and STEM related careers, this is a great space for them to really get transparency on how they would enter into those gateway positions and what are the related ladders that they can consider.
All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I want to thank everyone for joining us on the call today. Martha, Robert, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. We encourage all of you to share with us your thoughts on topics that you'd like to see on future calls, and we'll do our best to address that for you. Please stay tuned to your email as we announce our next call. And if there's other manufacturers in your network that you think would benefit from this information, please feel free to share with them or let us know, and we'd be happy to reach out. And as I mentioned earlier, this call has been recorded and archived version will be available on our YouTube channel. So thanks again to everyone. Be well, stay healthy, have a happy holidays, and we'll see you all real soon.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Beth. Thank you, everyone.